welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, and today we are back with our monthly recap of how July went for me in terms of sales on Poshmark. I do these every single month. If you're new here, I would love to have you check out that playlist. I'll link it down below, where I've recapped every single month this year just to kind of go through my sales and what I've sold and what I listed and stuff like that, to just see if there's any trends that we can find in my data. So if that is something that is interesting to you to see how July was for me, then stick around and keep watching, and make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a future recap video or even other reselling videos that I do. I do reselling and Poshmark related videos every single week here on my channel, so I'd love to have you stick around for more videos. But without further ado, let's get right into how July was. So I am so happy to report that July was a way better month for me than June was. I sold 174 items with a total of $1,023. And so I'm pretty excited, and let me dive right into why I sold so many more items, because if you've watched my other recaps, you know that this is like double the amount of items that I've sold any other month this year. So I just want to dive right into and break down why I sold so much, and yeah, let's just dive right into it. Okay, so in a given day, the average for listings sold really ranged, as you can see in this graph. Some days it was really high, it was upwards of like 10 to 15. Some days it was like none, and other days it was like anywhere from 3 to 5. But I would say on average it was about 3 to 5 in a given day. And this is mainly because I was doing lives almost every single day this month. So I've been doing silent auctions now for a couple of months, and I prefer to do silent auctions rather than live because, like I've mentioned in the past, I really don't like being live on a camera. I get really uncomfortable by it. And so I do the silent auctions, and I just kind of, run through a lot of items in my closet, and I have a lot of items that have been sitting for years, a lot of items that I thrifted all the way back into 2020 that I am really ready to get rid of. And actually, spoiler, my first ever purchased item to resell finally sold this week, which is crazy. It's been over 3 years. I was really, glad to see it gone. But a lot of these items I've had for so long that I picked up in the beginning when I really didn't know what I was doing. So now that they're all selling, because I'm selling them in silent auctions, it really makes me feel better that they're gone. And again, I am doing these for a cheap deal. Anytime I do a live now, I do it for $4. And so I'm not really making a lot from each sale, but a lot of these items I really don't care about making a lot on. I just want to clear them so I can make room for better items. So that is why I sold a lot more than normal in terms of items. And that's why my average listing sold in a day is higher, because I did those lives where I would be selling multiple items in a live to, multiple people. So that's why that is higher for this month. And then for the number of orders, the most I had in a given day was 6, but on average I would say it was 2 to 3. There was days where I had none, and there was days that I had anywhere in between. So basically this just is because I sold to multiple people on the lives, and I also made other sales too. I wasn't just selling on the lives, I was actually making sales otherwise as well. So the lives kind of just help me balance out and make more sales. So that is why the average listings, or the average number of sales per day, was that many, because I was selling that many different items in a day. And if you compare this to last month, which was a very slow month for me, practically every day was higher. There was one day in June where I had like a really large purchase, and so that's why that one peak is higher in June. But other than that, July was higher, so I'm very happy about that. We beat the summer slowdown. I'm happy to say that it's on its way out and that sales are picking up again, especially for fall and back to school season. Okay, so let's talk about what brands made me the most money this month. And these are all gonna be different brands than normal for me, and that is mainly because I was selling those items that I was trying to sell discounted in the lives that aren't really worth a lot to me, so I don't really make, I sell them for cheaper. So the first brand is Vintage, and this is just basically anything that I had that was vintage that I didn't know the brand of, or that wasn't, important to represent the brand. I would consider it vintage. And I actually have a large audience of people that really are into a certain style of vintage items. A lot of these vintage pieces I actually get from a family member. They donate them to me to support my business, and I'm very grateful for that. And so these are the items that I'm selling. They're all vintage items. They're all from like, the 1990s or earlier. and I have a very select audience of people that enjoys these items and will purchase them. So that is why I sold a bunch this month, because I was listing a bunch, because I had about 6 bags full of items that I was donated, and so I was listing and selling every day. Basically, I would list the items and then sell them in the lives, and so that's why that is the majority. Then behind that was Old Navy, and I sold a bunch of Old Navy as well, because that is a brand that I can't really seem to list for a lot to begin with, and I normally offer it very low in lives as well, just because it's not really worth a lot to begin with. So that is why that is that way. The next brand after that is Calvin Klein, and the brand after that is Naturalizer, and those are high because those I actually was given a bunch of shoes from a family friend who I'm selling them for her, and there is, you know, a bunch of Calvin Klein, a bunch of Naturalizer, and they're all like, you know, nice shoes that are in like really good condition. So I've been selling a bunch of those recently. They're all like summer shoes and stuff, so that's why those categories are high as well. And then in terms of the number of listings sold, I sold the most Old Navy items, and then after that, the most vintage items. So that just really goes to show that those brands really were what kept me going this month. They were the top selling brands in all categories for this month. And in terms of what sold, mostly women's items and a small percentage of men's items sold for me this month. I didn't actually sell any kids items, and so I'm looking forward to maybe selling some this coming month. So about 83% of my sales were not new with tag items, and about 16 to 17% were new with tag. And this, I actually had a decent amount of new with tag items that I was donated and added. And I also had some from my personal closet that I added. So that's actually why it's a little bit higher than it typically is, because normally it's less than that. But I actually had a decent amount of new with tag items. So that explains why it's higher. Okay, so let's talk about how I made those sales. So about 93% of my sales came from offers. And again, this is always a consistent thing for me. I always have the highest amount in offers. I send out offers every single day. I receive offers and I mostly accept them. So that is why that is really high, because I really enjoy sending out offers and I really enjoy getting offers. About 4% of my sales were bundle offer, and then about 8% were buy now. And I really do like getting those buy now sales, but they really don't happen that often. I'm hoping that they'll pick up in the coming months, and maybe, you know, with doing these lives, it really helps drive traffic to my closet. So I'm hoping that that really helps drive in more buy now sales. So let's talk about what I listed this month. I listed 303 items as new inventory this month, and this is comparative to my prior months, and I really think that this helps drive traffic, and I think this really helps, you know, get new people to your closet and sell items. So I really recommend listing new items every single day and relisting new items every single day. This is what helps get that inventory up, because I'm listing and delisting every single day. And of course, for the brands that I listed this month, I listed a lot of vintage, like I already talked about. That was the brand that I was listing and then selling in the lives. So I listed a bunch of those, and again, that's just because a lot of those brands are not really worth calling out. So that's multiple brands put together that is in that vintage category. And then behind that was actually Coach. And behind Coach was American Eagle. And then in terms of what I listed all women's items. No kids items or no men's items were listed this month, just because I had an overflow of women's items. So let's talk about the year in total. So I sold about 568 total items for a total of $7,512. So that is pretty exciting. That is really on target for my $1,000 a month. 7 months of the year, $7,000. That's pretty good. And I'm really happy about how many items I sold too, because I was looking back at my stats for prior years and it didn't even come close to that amount. So I'm very happy that I was able to sell this much this year, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the year goes in terms of how many things I can sell. And looking at this graph, you could see that July was like a pretty middle ground month for me. It was not my highest month and it was not my lowest. It was right in the middle. I think it was ranked number 4. But I'm happy that it's at least back on track, because June, as a lot of you probably remember in June's video, it was a very slow month, and I, was really looking forward to a month that was better than that. So I will take it, even if it's ranked 4 and not ranked number 1, that's okay. It's still on the right track to where I want to go. But when you look at this graph, you could see that the number of listings sold in July was way higher than the prior months. And when you look at this graph, you can see that every single month this year, again, has been higher than last year at this time. And July this year is higher than July of last year. So I'm pretty happy about that and pretty excited to know that all of the stuff that I'm doing put together this year to make a difference is really, really working. And it's actually crazy to see the number of listings sold last July versus this July, because it is a wild difference. And it excites me to know, because I don't even think I was breaking 100 listings sold last month. So it's just really exciting, and I'm very excited that I'm growing and I'm doing better than I was last year. Actually, just looking at this graph again, I didn't even break 50 listings sold last July. So considering I almost hit 200, that is just really insane and really exciting. And of course, the number of orders is higher this year every single month so far than it was last year. Okay, so that is actually a wrap on this week's video and this month's recap. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed seeing how July was for me. Like I said, July was way better. I'm in higher spirits than I was last month, and I think things are looking up going into August and also September. I'm thinking with the back to school and also the fall and winter months ahead, I think things are going to pick up before the holidays, and I'm really hoping they pick up for you as well. And like I mentioned, you always want to remember that if you're listing and sharing and relisting every single day, you will have more success with your items. And honestly, I wanted to put this out there. I wanted to let you guys know that if you want to try going live, even if you're not comfortable going on camera, because believe me, I'm right there with you, try out the silent lives, and you would be surprised at how well they actually work to clear out that old inventory. I actually made a video a couple weeks back on Poshmark Lives and everything that you need to know about how to do them, and also tips and tricks. So if you want to try a Poshmark Live and sell some stale inventory that's been sitting in your closet, you could check out this video where I talk about it, and maybe it could give you some pointers on how to get started. And if you want to see reasons why your listings aren't selling on Poshmark, you can click right here. But until next time, I will see you then.